Good afternoon from Africa and welcome to Djuma Game Reserve, everyone. This is a really strange afternoon that we're broadcasting from. My name is Mark and nice to be back again. It's almost like I've been away a week, but I've only been away for 2 drives. I have Brian on camera with me and Alex is back in final control. Brent and Andrew on our other vehicle, Wendy, they're a little bit further west from us and they're looking for some things, so we're going to be splitting up this afternoon and trying to find you as much as we can. There is a very big storm that is, I suppose in a way, raining itself out to the north and the northwest of us, and it does feel like it's coming over this way, so we're going to have to be watching that. We've got a grey sky all over. In fact, it's kind of a pink sky. It's really strange. It's kind of weird. We can't really discern cloud because I think that it's such a widespread weather system, that it's giving us almost a...
You see that lightning?
No, where was it?
There was a big flash of lightning that just hit.
Where? No, next to it.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Brian's saying he's just seen a big flash of lightning next to us. It is coming. I think it's going to be rolling in fast. We're going to try and find you some things as soon as we can. And here we go. There's the thunder from that bolt of lightning that's just come through. That's almost directly overhead. Now I have to tell you that most of our storms, most of our weather come from this beautiful light sky that we're looking at down there in the southeast, and most of the weather comes from there. And every now and then in summer during our wet season we get these storms that come in from the north or the northwest, and they can roll in quickly and they can dump a lot of water in a short amount of time. And I'm wondering if this isn't one of those. I've heard Brent actually mentioned earlier that it was raining in Hoedspruit. He's got family in Hoedspruit, and so it sounds like that this whole storm is moving down from there. We're going to have to see what it is. In the interim, I hope we're going to find you some things. We had some of the kudu bulls, our regular kudu bulls. We had them just off of our right-hand side, but they've moved off into some thicker bush. I'd like to continue though. I'd like to go and look for some lion tracks before the rain comes, because I'd like to try and establish where some of the lion, if there were some lion on the property this morning, I'd like to try and establish where they went. And well, join us for the next few hours. Hopefully we're going to have a 3-hour drive. Don't know what the weather's going to do. We're going to have to play that by ear, but join us and let's have some fun. Please repeat that, Alex. Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you, Alex. And a welcome, a big welcome to the St. Joseph's School in the UK who are watching us. We've got a bunch of kids, well, young adults, youngsters, young humans, well, kids. Juvenile human beings. Since we talk about animals as juvenile, sub-adults, let's talk about humans in the same way. But anyways, we've got a bunch of youngsters that are watching from the UK, and it is, for me personally, I think it's one of the most wonderful things to be part of a school joining us on safari. Love to have questions from you guys, all of you. Hopefully we can find you something. Hopefully we can find some of those big things with flappy ears, some of those tall animals with little heads at the top of their tall necks, or some of those big and hairy claw and teeth things that like to eat other animals. Or, you know what? Even if we can find you a tortoise, let's see what we can find. But I'm really looking forward to any questions that you might have, and anything that I can tell you about our world here at Djuma Game Reserve, part of the Kruger National Park, one of the biggest national parks in southern Africa. It's a very well-known park. Brent is following up on some leopard tracks closer to Sandy Patch, a little bit further west of us, where he found some leopard tracks this morning. He wants to follow up on those. Brent's in Wendy. This is Jigger, by the way. We have two vehicles. This one's called Jigger. Jigger means fit. And because we're turning right, turning left, and we're going every which way, Jigger is quite an appropriate name. Okay. So let's go and see what Brent's got to say. We're going to have a look at a different portion of Djuma Game Reserve and let's see what Brent has to say, and go and say hello to Brent and Andrew. This is Brian and Mark on this vehicle. Let's go and say hi to Brent and Andrew, and in the meantime I'll see what I can find for you.
Good afternoon, guys. Welcome again on Game Drive with us this afternoon. So what Andrew and I are doing at the moment is there was that report of the female leopard we were trying to find this morning. So we've headed straight back into this area. We've been checking the drainage line. I just took a little walk. I can't find any tracks down there. So what we're going to do now is going to head down to the main road, make sure she hasn't crossed, and then check Impala Road and work that area back towards her last position. So we're going to try to rule out all the areas furthest away first, and move back to where the last position. Hopefully it has been a cool afternoon, so she might have started moving earlier than usual, but hopefully we can have some luck and find her before the rain comes in. Good afternoon to St. Joseph's School in the UK, who's going to be joining us this afternoon. They would like to know, what animal do I like seeing and why? Well, my favorite animal is the African wild dog, purely because I find them the most exciting and interesting to watch. They've got a very complex social system, and they're the most successful of the hunters. And in certain areas, their success rate with hunting is around the 80% mark, where there's a lot of things like lions and leopards only have a success rate of around, depending on the area, between 15 up to about 25%. And they're just incredibly hyperactive, a bit like me, so that's why I like them the most. But obviously I do enjoy seeing all the animals. Also a huge fan of the cats, and we're just, at the moment, we're busy trying to track a female leopard that was seen by a vehicle driving through the area this morning. Okay, so we're going to drive very carefully and slowly on here, because it is quite a busy road. So there is a chance that someone has driven over the tracks. Just hang on a second, there's something in the road up ahead. Excuse my... What have we got there? Another question from St. Joseph's. It's a wildebeest, so we're not going to rush off that far for a wildebeest. And another question from St. Joseph's. They would like to know what a leopard likes to eat. Well, leopard generally eat small to medium-sized antelope. But in strange cases they can even eat some of the bigger antelope, like an adult kudu bull. But normally impala, duiker, steenbok, warthog is another favorite of theirs. But they are generally small to medium-sized antelope. Okay. very difficult. There's a track there, but it looks like it's been half driven over. But yeah, I think that's a hyena. Another question from St. Joseph's. Which animal is the fastest? Well, out of the mammals, land mammals, it's probably going to be the cheetah. He can reach around 100 kilometers an hour. But the fastest animal is a peregrine falcon. And he can hit vertical speeds of over 200 kilometers in the vertical dive when chasing prey species. Okay, so there's no tracks that are coming out of this little drainage line here, and we didn't have any tracks in the drainage line down here. So what we're going to do is going to work our way up to the next road that runs parallel to the drainage line and see if we can find any tracks that are coming out of the thickets. Okay guys, while Andrew and I continue to look for this female leopard, we're going to link you back to Mark and see what he's got on the other side of the reserve.
Well, welcome back to this side of Djuma, and this is what we call a jigger, our vehicle. Sometimes when the weather comes in like it does, and it's not easy to see animals because they might be hiding because there's weather coming in, because weather changes can be felt and they can be picked up by animals, and so you might not be able to find animals just by looking for them, just trying to see the animals. It's important to try and look at the ground, and especially the roads, because these are sandy roads and animals leave footprints, and one can get an idea of where animals are and which animals have been moving around with the tracks that we find, the animal tracks that we find on some of the roads. And I'm hoping that I'm going to find some tracks that can get our adrenaline going. There's some interesting animals to follow tracks. The other thing I want to do is just also welcome the St. Joseph's School in the UK joining us this afternoon. So we're going to be dedicating about the next hour or so to questions from the school, and I hope that we can teach you something, or hope that we can all learn something together. Hope we can find you something interesting, but I also hope this is not the only day that you're going to be joining us. So one of the questions that has come in from the school is this little screen that you can see here. As you can see, let me just stop so that it's not bouncing and that I'm not bouncing, and that Brian can actually zoom in on it and have a look at it. So what this is for, it's for me to see what the camera person is looking at. So I mean, that kind of looks weird. It's like looking at, watch this, boom, you just make like a wave with my hand. It's like looking into infinity. It's like when you're sitting in the barber shop and you've got mirrors in front and mirrors behind, and there's just this endless, I don't know, it's weird. It's like looking into a new universe. Look, there's my finger, my hand. So, okay, apart from playing with it like that, because we could play with it like that forever. But it's very important for me when we're stopping and we're watching animals, it's very important for me to see where the camera is pointing, because a lot of the time I have to be watching the animal. I can't really be looking back to see what Brian is pointing his camera at. And a lot of the time I'm trying to talk to the viewers with the microphone in front, and I'm trying to tell you things. And it gives me an idea when I'm talking about things. I just have to glance to the left and I look at the screen and I can see where the camera is pointing. So now if Brian was to say, look at this marula tree here on my right hand side, I don't have to look at the marula tree. In fact, it's better for me to look at this little screen because I can then direct you as the viewer what I want you to look at on that screen. Because sometimes maybe it's just a one tiny little thing in the lower left corner of the screen or in the middle of the screen or wherever it may be. So it's very, very important for me to have that opportunity to see where the camera is pointing because it's behind me. And it helps me to explain things to you better. And I've just realized something. We're driving past Treehouse Dam. I think let's go down. Let me just turn around. We're going to go past the Treehouse Dam. I just heard some oxpeckers, which are birds that are associated with animals. And well, oxpeckers are animals that are always with some big herbivore or something. So there might be something this way. Next question though from the school is, how strong are the horns of a buffalo? I think that the horns of a buffalo are probably the strongest horns of almost any African mammal. I think the yak in the Himalayas might have stronger horns based on the way they fight. And there's also the American bison that might have pretty strong horns. And then there's the bighorn sheep. And there's the ibex. There are a few animals that, based on the way that the males fight with each other, which is one of the reasons why they have developed such big horns. I think one of the things about the way they bash horns determines how strong their horns are. And when you think of a buffalo, a buffalo is... Okay, now this is a school in the UK, so if I say kilograms, I have no idea what that translates to as stone, because I think your weight in the UK, you talk about stone. I don't know what a stone is. How big is the stone that you weigh that calls it a stone? But in kilograms, let's say a big bull buffalo is like 750 to 800 kilograms. I know that's a lot of stones, but that's a very big bull buffalo. And when two bull buffaloes are bashing horns and they're hitting heads because one stone is 6.3 kilograms. Okay, thanks, Alex. So how much? So it's 100 stone. More than 100 stone, if I'm not mistaken. 120 stone for a buffalo. Big buffalo bull. You have to imagine that when two big buffalo bulls are hitting heads, or bashing their horns together, with that amount of weight behind those buffalo, those horns have to be very, very strong. And that is why they are not like deer horns, like deer that you get in Europe and that, where the horn, well, they're not horns actually, they're called antlers on deer. And they're not really as much of a part of the skull as buffalo horns are. And if I'm lucky, at some point, if you're going to join us again on another day, or maybe even today, if I'm lucky, I'll maybe find you a buffalo skull, and maybe we can look at it. In fact, I know where there is a buffalo skull. Maybe we can get there within the next little while. It's not a very clean buffalo skull, but another day maybe. We might be lucky actually to see some buffalo as we're approaching. We're approaching a waterhole now with some, maybe some buffalo. There's a buffalo. I see a buffalo. What animal has the sharpest teeth? That's an interesting question. I wonder who that came from. Because that would be quite a debatable subject. Which animal has the sharpest teeth? Let's look at this buffalo while I contemplate the sharpest tooth. much like cows and sheep and other herbivores that we know of in our domestic lives, we have a lot of animals here in the bush who chew the cud, which means that they chew their food and they swallow it, and it goes to one stomach, and then they kind of regurgitate it. It sounds a bit gross, but they regurgitate it and they chew it a little bit more, and then they swallow it again, and then they do that a couple of times. And one of the reasons why they need to chew the cud like that is because plants are made up of a very, very strong substance, one of the strongest things in nature. It's called cellulose. It's the kind of thing that allows trees to stand up as big as they are. It keeps trees rigid. It gives plants structure. It's called cellulose. It's part of the cell wall of the plant, but it is also undigestible. Not many animals can digest it, and unfortunately for most of the animals that eat plants, cell wall of the plant, but it is also undigestible. Not many animals can digest it, and unfortunately for most of the animals that eat plants,
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
One of the things about living out here in the remote parts of Africa is that sometimes when there are big storms brewing, or sometimes for no reason, but we have power cuts and we have power outages. There are very, very long power lines that bring power to us, and we just had a power outage, so I'm sorry that we got a little bit interrupted with what I was trying to explain to you. But we're back now, which is good. And talking about we've got another buffalo arriving, by the way. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties because of this power failure that we just experienced. So unfortunately what it has done is it's like I get a power failure in my brain and I forget what I was talking about, but maybe we can continue. I was talking about cellulose and just plant matter and why it's necessary for animals to chew the cud. Oh, he's going to lie down. That is a big buffalo. But from a very, very big mammal, while I'm trying to recall what it was that I was talking about, I'm going to move along. We're going to see what else we can find. We're going to go over to Brent and see a slightly smaller mammal. I had a question about who's got the sharpest teeth, and I'll get back to that next time you come back to me, because I've got some interesting things to tell you about that. So stay tuned, go and see what Brent's got, and I'm going to find something else.
Hi guys, you're back with Brent. We're with a dwarf mongoose to the left, Andrew. You see there's that, you got him now? So we got a little group of dwarf mongooses. So I got a question for everyone out there. Who can tell me the collective noun for mongoose or mongooses? And you send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So actually all around us, there's even some juveniles that look like probably a month or two old, that are hiding in another log there. And this guy's basically snuck right up to the vehicle because of curiosity, and he's popping his head out of a hole in a dead piece of wood, and just coming to check us out, make sure we're not causing any trouble, but just purely from curiosity. Very inquisitive little animals. There's another one out on top of the other log, Andrew. So this is, and he pops in. Oh, there's another one coming out the other side. Africa's smallest carnivore, mammalian carnivore. Sorry, let me be precise there. You can see just to the left, there's one coming closer to us through the grass. They're very close to us at the moment. And the two of them are probably not even 2 meters from us. So that's one of the younger ones that's just come out of that hole. And there's an adult on its way. There we go. It's joined up with the adult now. And back into the hole. Oh no? Popping out. Look, they're doing a little bit of grooming there, greeting. It's a little bit difficult to see because they're just behind that log. I don't want to move the car right now because I'd give them a bit of a fright. You can see how they very nervously scamper between different thickets or whatnot. That's one of their main defense mechanisms. When they have to cover open ground, they do move quite quickly. Okay, there we go, another one in the log there. Very, very cute little animals. sorry, we had a lost signal there for a second. It could be with all the weather around us, but we had two questions from St. Joseph's. One was, which park are we in? We are in the Sabi Sands private game reserve. It's about a 60,000 hectare or roughly 120,000 acre reserve that borders the Kruger National Park in the Mpumalanga province of South Africa. It's open to the national park and to a system of about 2.4 million hectares. So a huge expanse that's all under wildlife. And to answer, and the next question was, do we get lost from time to time in this thick bush? We never say lost. We say temporarily unaware of our exact position. But hopefully, with all the years that all of us have spent in the bush, we can use different ways to find out, to get ourselves unlost when the need be. Okay, well, it looks like most of the mongooses have moved off foraging. At this time of the day, they're going to start heading towards one of their den sites, which is normally in a disused termite mound, and they'll actually live in the catacombs of the mound and have different chambers and that. And they live there for safety at night because they are very diurnal. They're diurnal animals, so at night they lose a lot of their sight. So they will try to get home before it gets dark to minimize the risk of the nocturnal predators where they don't have their natural defense, which is their very good eyesight. Okay, let's carry along here and see what else we can find. Oh, is there still one up in the tree there? Yeah. Oh, he's climbed really high to come have a look at us. I'm just going to try to sneak the car forward. Hopefully he doesn't run, and see if we can get a better view of him. But see, that's another... Oh, he's come out and down. That's another important tool they use to get away from, to scan for predators. They'll climb up termite mounds and high trees so they can have a look around to make sure there's no danger. Oh, there's another one jumping in to come have a look at us. So there we go. Let me just get Andrew in a clear shot there. Okay. So they're going actually into the center of that dead tree and climbing right to the top to use it as a vantage point. So there's another one still in there that looks like it's probably blocking the route for the one at the base. So hopefully he comes up to the top again. Or she. There we go. One out, one in. Come on, pop your head up the top. Oh, halfway down. So they're using different sides of that tree as vantage points. Okay, let's going to carry on a little bit further down this road, see if we can find anything else. Still looking for leopard tracks. Okay guys, we're going to link back to Mark, see what he's got in the east of the reserve, and hope you guys just now with something a little bit more interesting or bigger, scarier.
Hi everyone. Brian and I are talking about the weather and what we think. I mean, there is lightning and there's thunder just above us. But the sky, the cloud is so high. Anyways, moving on. We were talking about teeth, and this was for the benefit of the St. Joseph School in the UK who are watching us. A bunch of very inquisitive minds that want to know some things, and I'd love to be able to tell you about them. And I was showing, we were just lucky enough to see those buffalo, and I was telling you about how buffalo chew things, or how any of our herbivores. Sorry. How it is necessary for all these herbivores to chew their food so much, and then also because cellulose is so tough that they've got to digest some of it and then regurgitate and chew it some more and then digest it some more. So naturally, none of the herbivores, generally speaking, because there's always an exception, the herbivores don't have very sharp teeth at all. And if we're looking at sharp teeth, we've got to look at the animals that need sharp teeth, and those are the animals that maybe are the meat eaters, the carnivores. And we've got the cats, which are lion, leopard, and cheetah, and serval, and caracal, and African wildcat, and the black-footed cat, and the small spotted. Anyway, the cats are very special because they've got some interesting teeth. They don't only have those big canines that we all know. You just have to look at your domestic cat at home, and you can see the canines. But if you look at the teeth, even your domestic cat, the cheek teeth, like what even ours, they're quite flat. But for the cats and the dogs and the hyenas, they're all quite sharp, and they often ride on. It's almost triangular shaped. And let me just stop so that I can try and explain this to you. And I wish I had a skull or something, and maybe I could find one if I'm lucky. But it's almost their teeth are almost triangular, and the top teeth that are also triangular, they ride on top of each other, so they sharpen each other as the animal chews. So they're permanently sharp, almost like a pair of scissors. When you think of how a pair of scissors work, kind of the same way as the cats and dogs and hyenas, the same way as their teeth work. But their teeth aren't still the sharpest because they're quite big teeth, and they've got to be very bulky because they're not only chewing through flesh, they've got to chew through bone and really hard parts of the carcasses of the prey animals that they're eating. So they can't be very delicate teeth. So they might be sharp in terms of being able to cut things, but they're quite broad teeth. And this is the question that is asking about who's got the sharpest teeth. Now, I would say that a small member of the dog family, known as the bat-eared fox, has probably got some of the sharpest teeth in the animal kingdom. This is my opinion. We can ask for other opinions anywhere, and maybe we can find an answer somewhere. But the bat-eared fox has not only got so many more teeth in its jaw than most other dogs, or most other canids, or most other members of the same family, or even most other carnivores, but they've also got very specialized jaw muscles. And that is because they chew things, they hunt things like scorpions and centipedes and things that are venomous, things that can sting them or bite them. And so they have the ability to bite something and chew it so fast and so rapidly with such sharp teeth that they can kill it before that thing can sting them, like a scorpion, for example. A bat-eared fox can catch a scorpion and it can go, no, it can chew it so fast that before the scorpion can even sting it, it's already been eaten. And to do that, it has to have very, very sharp teeth. But having said that, I think there's still one animal that probably has got even sharper teeth. And it's an animal that probably is not even thought of, because a lot of people think that maybe it's just a mouse or a rat. It's called a shrew. And, go away, fly. And shrews are not rodents. They are smaller than mice. In fact, they're probably smaller than, some of the shrews are smaller than the smallest of mice. But they're not rodents, and they're not vermin or anything else. They are actually the smallest insectivores. They're the smallest insect-eating or invertebrate-eating animals on the planet. And they've got such a high metabolism that they've virtually got to be eating 24 hours a day. They live life. It's like if you had, I don't know if you know what an old video machine is, because I don't think you can do it. Maybe you can do it with DVDs and things. You can speed up the play so that it's going 10 times as fast as normal. That's kind of how shrews live their lives. They live their lives at such high speed because their metabolism is so fast. They've got to eat so much. They've also got a line of teeth that if a shrew's jaw, and a shrew's jaw, I wish I could bring one. I've got a couple of them at home. Is maybe 1 centimeter long. If you had to make that 10 centimeters or bigger, and you had to multiply the size of the teeth accordingly, you would find that the teeth are far sharper than any, even lion and leopard and things like that. But those are the chewing teeth. We haven't even discussed the other teeth, because there are two different types of teeth in this world. And we're talking about sharpest teeth. And so the other answer to that question, because those I'm just talking about the normal sort of the general teeth of an animal, overall impression of teeth. The canines, those big fangs that people see with the leopard and the lion and things. There the answer would be different, because if we were talking about the sharpest canines, we would have to say baboon. Undoubtedly the baboon. Longer, sharper canines than any animal at all. Undoubtedly. And that's for fighting and killing. And, well, not so much functional as much as it is display. It's almost like an antelope's horns. They're used for fighting. They're also the biggest ones are the ones that win. So very much when it comes to baboon, their long canines are not really that functional. They're not the same. They don't have the same function as the canine teeth, those long fangs of lion and leopard. They're there to intimidate their enemies, and they do use them sometimes for killing or for biting. But most of all, is for display. And speaking of teeth, which is actually a nice way of continuing the conversation. There was also a question about how big can an elephant's tusks be? And of course the tusks of an elephant are the teeth. But the tusks of an elephant are not the canines. The tusks of an elephant are the front teeth, the incisors. And so I guess you could say the elephant have got the sharpest or the biggest incisors, maybe not sharpest, but the biggest incisors of any animal. How big can they be? Well, in the old days, elephant teeth used to grow very, very big. Nowadays, there are very, very few very big tusked elephant. This guy's getting a little bit angrier now. I think about, I don't know, maybe some of our viewers can help me. The longest tusks were maybe, about 8 feet or something? I'm not really sure. 10 feet long? You see, elephant tusks continue to grow throughout their lives. They're the only animals, one of the only animals, because warthogs and other animals that have tusks, their tusks also continue to grow. But their tusks are different teeth completely. But elephant tusks continue to grow, and by the time they're old bulls, old men, their tusks are probably the longest, just before they die. And if they have the right genetics, if they have the right genes, then they could be very, very big. But there aren't really many big tuskers left in the world today, and so they haven't really been able to pass their genes on overall. Well, we don't know. Hopefully elephants will still be around for a while, that we'll be able to see some elephants getting old, and we'll still be able to see some big tuskers. But I have to say, it's up to people like you, the school, who are learning now, you students and you learners now. It's up to you that when you get to be adults, that you put your foot down and you don't tolerate all the nonsense that the adults of the world are doing today, because we can't change what the adults are doing today, but I certainly hope that somehow the children of today can decide for themselves that when they become adults, they're not going to be doing what the adults are doing today, and it'll change the way the world is being destroyed, and elephants are being hunted, and rhino are being killed. It's one of the only ways that we can do it, is because you can't change what adults are doing. It's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, they say. Well, you can't change adults' minds. I'm sure, because there are quite a lot of you at St. Joseph's School that are watching, I'm sure there are a lot of questions that were sent in that we didn't get to, because sometimes I can take a long time to answer just one question. Sometimes questions are easy. But I believe you all have to go, so I want to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. It's really been great. I love having schools with us. I love being able to talk. And before we go, here's a kudu. Finally, an animal for you. And it's very difficult to find animals this afternoon because of the weather and the lightning and the thunder, so a lot of animals are hiding. But maybe first get to see this little lady kudu before she goes off hiding somewhere. She's a youngster, she's not an adult, so there must be a mother somewhere. Hello, young lady kudu. Say hello to all the kids, or goodbye, because they got to go now, but they'll join us again someday, I hope. Yeah, yes, they said that. They said they'll join us again. Kudu is one of the biggest antelope that we have here, and this young female probably standing at where her head is, maybe about the same height as my head, standing about 5.5, a bit more. I think I'm a bit more than 5.5 feet. Oh, there's the mama kudu. Oh, they're running away. Okay, let's move along. I'm about to hit Rebecca's Road. I can do that if Brent wants to carry on. I can go up there myself. Okay, Brent, come in. I'm not copying him, but on the road between that Zoe's Rebecca Junction, Ballina, and Impala Plains, on that road is the track that heads off to the south, that goes to the repeater. Impala Plains Road towards Zoe's Road. Yeah, between Impala Plains itself, that open area, and the Zoe's Road junction. About halfway. Look, Stenbach. Largest to smallest antelope. And he's not running away either. About to, almost. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, John. Oh, thanks, Alex, for passing it on. John, I'm thinking John in Scotland, maybe? Oh, in Connecticut. Sorry, so John in, sounds like John in Connecticut. Thank you for a very interesting good piece of information saying that China has just banned a 1-year ban on the import of ivory. Well, I mean, sounds good. Problem is that I don't know how much ivory is actually going to China, whether that's going to make much of a difference. Maybe it's just a sort of a... I'd like to see that it makes a difference. I would like to see that that is the sort of precedent that other countries are going to follow, like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Japan. I think there's the bulk of the storm. You can see the line of it. Hey, Brian, you don't have to point camera, but I'm just saying, just looks like it's still more Hoedspruit, Ekonokoi. Why there's still lightning and thunder above us, I don't know. But that's looking northwest now from here, and seems to be the bulk of the storm heading out that way. Alex, come in. Well, maybe just remind Brent to make sure that that antenna is perfectly straight. Okay. Very nice to be able to watch a young male buck. He's not an adult yet, he's like about a sub-adult. You can see his horns are only I suppose halfway, not even halfway. Adult steenbok, his horns are going to be about as long as his ears. Very unusual maybe to get horns longer than the ears. Halfway between the open area and Zoe's Road. And then there's a track heading south. It's the only little 2-track heading south off of that road from Impala Plains to Zoe's. What I'd like to see is a little bit more than just him eating. Now, there's some interesting facets to the lives of steenbok. They have a relatively small territory that they live in. I would have loved to have stayed with with wildebeest. No, it wasn't a wildebeest. It's a bit smaller. What was it? Was it a steenbok? The sky is starting to threaten us. It's starting to get rain. It is drizzling now. These are not fine drizzle that we've been accustomed to for months or a few weeks. These are big, when these big clouds falling, Hello, boys. Maybe. Bachelor boys, where's my one-horn friend? Hi everyone, welcome back. A few bachelor impalas around us at the moment, but I think they're a little nervous with the way the weather's coming in. Yeah, maybe that'll just give us a little... Hello, boys. Big one and a smaller one. You're gonna mark... No, you're not gonna rub on the tree. Well, I'm going to try and continue what I was saying earlier because it's been a bit awkward. I forget whenever the lightning flashes we have a problem with signal. It just takes all it just overloads the air with electricity. Something. Steenbok. We're going to find a steenbok again tomorrow or the next day. We'll try and, if we're lucky, spend some time with them. Very interesting little animals and the way that they live and some of the things that they do. I won't give you clues to that just yet, because we have to actually be with the animal watching to see it doing. Otherwise, well, that's the point really. It's all about actually watching it in real. Because I can tell you about things, but it doesn't help unless we really see things. So it looks like the storm is a little bit closer. It's a little bit more imminent. I think it's a little bit wet. Not wet, just big drops are falling. Very pleasant actually. Nice warm temperature. And some lovely big drops of rain falling. For the time being, not too threatening that we have to race for cover, but I do need to get a little bit closer. A little bit closer. Now that I've just said that, it's changed. It's getting a bit heavier. Towards cover. Changed. A bit heavier. Towards cover. And if we have to, we'll make for our little tawny cover on quarantine. The little house on the prairie. We'll make for that. We'll go sit under there. We'll get we have more of a show than now. Unfortunately, I might even have an insect book. Maybe I should cover my. Glad I didn't bring books. But I wish I did bring a book. It always helps if we're under the cover for me to talk about things to show you in the books. But we had this feeling that maybe it was going to rain, and I thought I better not bring the books out. The last thing I need is my little library to get wet. Cynthia? Interesting question. And I suppose for a lot of you out there who've never been to Africa and you are not familiar with a lot of our animals, Cynthia is asking the difference between a steenbok and a duiker, because the other small antelope that we have, the other dwarf antelope that we have is the common duiker. And what I'd like to do is, since we had a really nice view of that steenbok, and I'm sure somebody must have got a really nice screenshot of that, if we can find a duiker, we can take a screenshot of the duiker and I can show you. I mean, also tomorrow I can bring out a book and I can show you a picture in a book, but it's a lot different to look at it here in the wild. The Duiker is a little bit bigger. Now, normally the steenbok, that particular steenbok, it didn't quite come across color-wise as you might see it in different lights, because the the steenbok is normally like a reddish tan color. Oh, not really tan. It's like a
Auburn.
pardon?
Auburn.
Auburn.
Auburn, that's the color.
I'd say it's like a russet. It's not quite impala colored. Almost like the color on the back of impala, but a little bit lighter than that. Like a reddish tan. And they've got white stomachs. They don't have much of a tail. Their horns are a little bit different. Their horns are a little bit closer set together. The Duiker's horns, I think, are a little bit further apart. Their faces are somewhat different. And the Duiker, of course, is a lot bigger than the steenbok, which you can't tell until we get to maybe see the two of them together, which, that's not going to be easy. Sorry, big raindrops, rain's falling. We need to big lightning. We need to get under cover, folks. We need to head back to quarantine. Here comes the rain. This is possibly going to be a big long rain that's going to make things wet. And I couldn't wish for anything better, because that means that in a couple of days there might be flowers. Oh, the smell. You don't get the smell from drizzle. You only get the smell, and I know there's a special name for it, and I've forgotten it, and I've been reminded. Pardon?
Petrichor. Petrichor. Petrichor.
The petrichor.
Petrichor. I don't know.
It's like ozone that's released. It's like ozone that's released. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, what it is, as soon as the raindrops start hitting the soil, I think it's a bacteria or something that multiplies so quickly that breaks down the oils and the things that have helped the sand become hydrophobic, so that it can retain moisture underneath the ground, and then when the raindrops start falling, it starts breaking up that hydrophobic state, and it starts becoming hydroattractive. What do you call it? Different than hydrophobic. Yes, it likes water. That too. Gosh, I don't know. I know there's some stuff in my head that I need to think about it to put it all together. But yes, there is a smell that is the result of that is unmatched. I don't think that even the new car smell, because I've never had that, but I've only smelt it in a showroom. I don't think that anything that can beat. Not even cookies baking in the oven when you go to an open house. Fortunately, there's such big drops, they're coming down straight, and I'm not going to get the lens wet if I don't drive too fast. But I think we're getting a little bit wet here. I'm just going to get rusty. As I was saying, I could show you pictures of Duiker and steenbok, but it would be nice that having had this steenbok, if we could find a Duiker now and get a similar photograph, or rather a similar screenshot, frame him similarly. But unfortunately, there's still going to be the matter of scale. How do you tell which one is bigger than the other? Well, you just have to take my word for it. That the steenbok is about the smallest that we have. Excuse me. The smallest that we have in this part of the world. And the grey Duiker is just a little bit, a few inches taller, a little bit bigger, not much. Alex, come in. afternoon. Okay, sorry, I had to turn you down when you were talking to Brent. Now, I'm going to the cover on quarantine to Little House, but I think Brent needs to get his vehicle covered. Unless Brent's close by, he can come to Little House. It's probably better with Wendy because of the noise on Jigger. Okay, so I think just based on how we're going to work things, I think Brent needs to come here to Little House, and then we're going to, I suppose, be nearby. We're going to have our cover over us, and so I'm going to say, just for the time being, we need to put covers on things. We need to protect ourselves. I don't know how heavy this rain is going to be. I don't know how long it's going to last. But we want to, just in case it's going to clear up, we want to make sure that we're dry enough to go out again. So we're going to hand you over to Brent and Andrew on Wendy, from Brian and myself here on Jigger. We'll see you in a little while.
Afternoon, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going a little bit faster than we normally would. There's big thunderstorms coming on, so I'm just trying to get to the little house on the prairie. So I apologize if it makes anyone a little seasick, but we don't want to get all the cameras and kits wet. Cameraman, we don't mind getting wet though. Full ones do. Oh, bumpy, bumpy. Okay. 2 minutes and we'll be there, guys. Nearly there. Well, the one thing is nice for us who live out here, when it gets incredibly hot, when we do get a bit of rain, it brings the temperature right down. And also the most incredible smell after that first few drops of rain. Really, really, really a favorite smell of mine. Bouncy, bouncy. Okay. It's actually quite good for the bush. It's been very, very dry. And we've all been telling we need a little bit more rain before the dry season sets in. There it is. I can see Little House on the Prairie. And actually start tearing some of the frogs. Start calling now, a little bit of moisture. Happy frogs, happy amphibians. At what? And guys, please remember your questions to questions@wildearth.tv or on Twitter at #SafariLive. Okay, here we go. We made it. So guys, we made it before the big rain came. I'm going to get Andrew to pan out quickly in a second once he's managed to get the water droplets off the lens, and you can actually see the rain sitting over the valleys, and I'm sure you might even pick up the droplets falling on the tarpaulin out here. So we're going to sit here and answer some questions for you guys, and then hopefully it doesn't get too much harder, but if it does, we're probably going to have to dash for some proper cover, because if it rains too much, I don't think the little house will stand too well. Oh, what's that over there? Oh, termite mound. So guys, questions please at there we go, question came in. Afternoon, Caroline from Missouri. Welcome on drive with us this afternoon from a very wet Djuma private game reserve. Caroline would like to know, when prey species scent mark, does that help predators to find them? It can in certain circumstances, but generally you must always remember there's a lot more prey species out there than predators. If it was inverse, the predators would never have enough food. So it can in certain circumstances. That's why animals like steenbok will actually bury their feces, but they live in a very, very small territory. So in those circumstances, for them it's very important to sort of hide their scent marks and their feces. But generally, in a really big open system, your animals do move quite a lot, so there are probably so many different scent marks around that it's very difficult for the predator to pinpoint exactly that animal is going to be there right now or spends a lot of time in that area. So it's always good to get a little bit of late rain before the dry season. Afternoon, Carol Ann, who's contacting us all the way from South Dakota. Welcome on drive this afternoon. What Carol Ann would like to know, he said a few days ago with Mark they saw an ellie eating the bark of a tree, and Mark said it was medicinal. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure which tree that was, but it is possible. Other species do eat plants from a medicinal point of view. Kudu, baboons and black rhino will feed off timbuti leaves if they've got parasites in their stomach, and what that does is actually purge their stomach and causes them to sort of defecate the parasites out. Oh, you guys hear the thunder. We had some quite spectacular lightning earlier while we were racing down to get here. Nothing quite like an African thunderstorm. So from a predator point of view, a big thunderstorm is actually quite a positive for them from a hunting point of view. Quite often there's winds and gusting winds and thunder and noise, and also as it gets darker it gets completely black at night, so there's very little ambient light around, and what that does enable the predators to sneak up on the prey species much easier. So quite often you'll find things like leopards and lions will have successful hunting nights on very dark, stormy nights. Afternoon, Gene from Colorado. Welcome on Drive this afternoon. Gene would like to know whether there are any antelope species that will charge a human when cornered, and the answer to that, Gene, Jane, sorry, not Gene, Jane, is an emphatic yes. Most animals, even a mouse, if pushed into a really tight corner, will try fight and bite to get its way out. But in a lot of cases, I know of kudu, inyala, bushbuck, and not antelope, but warthog, wildebeest. It would be the same situation if they're pushed by a predator and they've only got the fight option left. And we must remember that we're also a predator. The animals out here see us as a predator. We've been the dominant diurnal predator on the African savannas for about 200,000 years, but they've been upright hominoid predators for about 500,000 years in Africa. So that causes those species to react to us as they would another predator. Well, seems like there's a bit more rain coming in from the west. Afternoon, Jules, who's contacting us from the UK. Welcome on Game Drive this afternoon. Jules would like to know what is the rarest animal I've seen and where. Well, with a lot of animals you have sort of regional rarities, so in some areas they might be quite common or more common than other areas, but I'd probably say one of the rarest animals I've seen is western lowland gorillas in the rainforests in Central Africa. Also dwarf crocodiles. That's up in the rainforest belt. And in this area, probably, but now this is a regional rarity for this area, would be sable antelope, which are very rare in this part of the world. And I'm trying to think now. It's a good question. I'm trying to think. Sure.
Have you seen a pangolin?
Yes, pangolin. Thanks, Andrew. Yes, pangolin's quite rare to be seen, although they're not uncommon. They are getting less common at the moment. There's huge trade in scales, in pangolin scales for the medicine industry as love charms. But pangolin, and I've seen pangolin here in the Sabi Sands actually. Aardvark. The only aardvark I ever saw in the Sabi Sands was being eaten by a lion though. But sure, that was a good question. I have to think about it a little bit more. Maybe I'll remember some more. Oh, yes. Probably in terms of amount of the animals left in the wild, etc. And also they're confined to a very limited area, is a Ringa red colobus monkey in southern Tanzania. It only occurs in the southern highlands of Tanzania. So that's probably in terms of most difficult to see and very few of them left would be a Ringa red colobus monkey. Oh, and the wind's picking up a little bit now, and we've definitely got some more and bigger rain coming in. Afternoon, Katrina from Washington. Katrina would like to know what was my scariest. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm going to answer Katrina's question, and I think we're going to have to make a run for it. The wind's coming in and the water's actually coming into the back of Little House on the Prairie. So we're going to have to make a dash for it. So I'm going to answer Sheila's question quite quickly, but I'll probably have to go more in depth with it on another drive. My scariest encounter was with a forest elephant in Gabon who actually knocked me over. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you that story another time, guys. We're going to have to try dash for cover. Hopefully it'll blow over and we